From the studios of Warren Tech North, this is Building Bright Futures, a Jeffco podcast with Jeffco Superintendent Dan McManus.
I'm Dan McManus, and I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this latest edition of Building Bright Futures. Our spotlight this time is on Jeffco's Transition Services team, led by District Transition Coordinator Jim Panzer. Welcome, Mr. Panzer.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with a little background, Jim. Can you describe the mission of Transition Services and the students that you serve?
Sure. First of all, let me just clarify. In our district, transition services actually begin at age 15. And so what families will notice at their son or daughter's IEP is not only a conversation about courses that the student needs to take to fulfill requirements for a Jeffco diploma, but also start to have conversations about what the student wants to do when they leave public education in three areas. Employment, whether they want to work competitively or, if need be, get support from an adult agency in being successful participatory members of our society. The other area would be continuing education, and that could be in a formal setting like a community college, or informally through an apprenticeship or on-the-job training. And then third, that whole area of adult living, what they need to have in their bag of tricks to be successful, whether it's around transportation, community resources, banking and budgeting, finding a place to live, so on and so forth. So those conversations begin at age 15, and for many of our students with IEPs, that work is really completed within 4 years, and they graduate and go on to their bright futures and leave us. For a small number of students, we also have the opportunity to provide additional years of service through a program that historically was called Jeffco Transition Services, or JTS. And I think that's what we're going to focus on for the rest of our conversation this afternoon.
So how long has this department been around, and how is it funded?
Really, special education started to talk about transition in the early 80s. And really, it was a result of the discrepancy between students with IEPs and the kinds of things they were leaving public education with versus their non-disabled or typical peers. There was a significant gap in employment opportunities. Our students tended to be underemployed or unemployed with little access to benefits. Continuing ed, they didn't have as many opportunities in the area of higher ed. So the federal government encouraged states and local districts to begin to offer opportunities to really explore those areas of transition that I referred to earlier. Here in our county, we really dove into the pool around 1997 with the creation of JTS. But for those staff people that have been around for a while, they might remember that we used to have work-study programs around the whole area of helping our guys get connected to employment as part of their high school program. It's funded in the same way that special education in our district is funded. So even while the students are considered past 12th grade, their programs are still under the guidance and supervision and direction of Jeffco teachers.
How does a student get involved in this program?
Really, it begins probably as early as 9th grade with, again, those conversations with families about what they and their sons and daughters want as part of their lives after public education leaves their lives, and continues on. Right now, for example, all 11 of our transition services teachers are out at the different high schools meeting with 12th graders that have been recommended for extended time in transition. That will be followed by conversations with families and case managers to really identify their hopes and dreams and to place them in one of our 7 transition program sites. We have students that are in 4 of our district high schools: Conifer, A West, Arvada, A West, Central area, and Dakota Ridge. And then we also have students that are receiving transition services at Warren Tech Central, at Fletcher Miller, and then in a new partnership we have with Children's Hospital through our Project Search program.
I'm sure you have some wonderful stories about Jeffco students who have been helped through this effort. Can you think of a few?
That's the best part of my work, because I think every day we see wonderful examples of how our students are succeeding in a variety of different situations. We have students that are learning how to successfully navigate a communication device, for example, and be able to get their wants and needs met through independent communication with other individuals, participating in social activities and being able to interact appropriately in lots of community settings. In the area of work, which is the area that I like to talk about the most, we have 4 students that were in our first year of Project Search that are still continuing to work successfully 2.5 years at the Federal Center in the National Park Service and so on and so forth. And those guys, I see them around town, and they are just moving and shaking and enjoying life, just like we expect from all of our students. We have a young lady who's working at Walgreens. We have several students that are working at Home Depot. One young man works at Argus Services, which is the group that provides security and takes tickets for a lot of the sporting and concert events around the metro area. We have a young man that's worked for 2.5 years at the Century Belmar Theater. We have connections all over the county in terms of Holiday Inn Express and Jump Street and Sprouts, who has been very just wonderful to us in providing not only training opportunities for our students, but then culminating in some paid employment for 3 of our students in the South area. In the North area, we have a young man that was with Transition Services for 3 semesters, and with the help of Tony Palmer, who's the manager at TJ Maxx in the north part of the county, participated in an unpaid work experience. And Mr. Palmer was so excited by the work that he saw our young person doing that he turned around and offered him a job. And so now Jesse is completed public education, but is working successfully, riding RTD all over the place, participating in a unified basketball team, doing church activities. So, I mean, it's everything his family wanted for him in terms of a successful adult life. One of our very vocal parents, who happens to also be a staff member in the school district, talks about her son getting a job as the family hitting a lottery, in that it provided a bright future for their son, something that they really could not ever imagine when they began the whole process of special ed eligibility as a youngster. So lots of stories. I mean, I could go on and on about the stuff that our guys are doing all over town.
Well, congratulations. We really love to hear those stories of success for students and know that you put a lot of time in to make sure that those things can happen for kids. So we appreciate that. We're going to be back in a moment with Jim Panzer, the District Transition Coordinator.
Hi, this is Jim Bakker, Director of Employment Services for Jeffco Public Schools. Have you considered joining the Jeffco team so you can be a part of creating bright futures? We hire all types of positions year-round. Visit www.jeffcopublicschools.org and click on the Jobs at Jeffco link for more information.
Welcome back. This is Dan McManus, Superintendent of Jeffco Schools, and I'm here with District Transition Coordinator, Mr. Jim Panzer. We're going to dive right back into the questions regarding the program. Jim, partnerships make this work. Can you talk about some of those partners and how they fit into the overall transition services plan?
Sure, Dan. I think one of the things that Jefferson County is known for around the state is the wonderful partnerships and relationships we have with many of our adult service partners. Easter Seals, for example, has played just an incredible part over the past year and a half in helping many of our students transition from public education into successful employment places. Of course, the Developmental Disabilities Resource Center is an important partner, and we spend quite a bit of time talking with them about not only providing appropriate services, but developing new and innovative ways to better serve our young adults as they get ready to leave us. Vocational rehabilitation is coming out of a year and a half study and review of services that they offer, and we're really quite excited by some of the things on the horizon over the next several months that are just going to open up some wonderful opportunities for our students, including some things that may be happening this summer when school is not in session, that allows our students to continue to learn and grow outside of the school district. In our county, the Workforce Center is called the American Job Center, and with the expansion of what was called the Workforce Investment Act into the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, there's some additional funding opportunities and some opportunities for partnerships that just are really so exciting for our young men and women. Via Mobility is an agency that operates out of Boulder County, but they've been instrumental in providing individualized travel evaluation and then travel training for many of our students. And you know, when you think about it, we take for granted the fact that we get around town in our own cars. For people that don't have access to their own car, getting from home to work or to the rec center or to whatever they want to do in their lives tends to be more difficult. So I'm awfully proud of the fact that we support as a district very comprehensive travel training programs that allow our students to successfully get from place to place in a safe and reliable fashion. I have to tell you this one story. We have one young lady that was in our program last year and now is successfully working at Walgreens. And this young woman is like the tech queen. And so as soon as she entered transition services, she was all about entering all kinds of transportation information on her iPhone. And so oftentimes staff would go to her to find out what was happening and the best way to get from place to place. And she lives at the very northern part of the county. So to get to work and to program every day, she would take an express bus to Union Station and then the West Line out to the program site, something that the rest of us would probably say, oh my gosh, that just wears me out, I'm done for the day. But Cinda was doing it each and every day successfully and just loving life and texting people all along her path. Okay, the bus is late, I'm going to be a few minutes late, but I'll be there. So, and that was all done with the help and support of Via Mobility. We have developed a relationship with Metro State University in the area of higher education. So this past semester, 6 of our young adults were participating in a course on their campus with college students that were learning about transition. And so it benefited our students in the fact that they got to hang out with their peers in a higher ed setting, but it also helped the college students in learning more about the possibilities that our students have as they go on in their life. Other agencies, Jeffco Center for Mental Health. I mean, there's just so many out there. Goodwill. They all bring something to the table and add to what we can provide for our students before they get ready to leave us.
It sounds like it's really about opportunity, and really what your job is finding opportunity, and what the student's job is accessing that opportunity and running with it. So
absolutely.
Sky's the limit there.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you looking for more partners? And if so, who would they contact, and what would you like them to know about being a part of this?
You know, we're always looking for partners, and especially, I think, in the area of employers. I think we're just beginning to understand and really partner with employers and present to them the possibility that students with significant support needs can be a vital, competent, reliable member of their workforce. So on January 26th, for example, we're bringing together a group of agencies around the county that have different employment initiatives. And in our boardroom, we're going to sit and discuss what's happening around the county and around the state in terms of new initiatives, new funding sources. But then following that, we're going to really be talking with employers about what do they need? What do they need in terms of a reliable workforce, and not to necessarily overlook the benefits of our population, because I'll tell you another quick story. You know I love stories. I started my career in Littleton Public Schools, and we live in Centennial. And we have a King Soopers that's right around the corner from us. And every time I go to King Soopers, I see two young people that I actually taught how to play tennis when they were in 6th grade. And they have worked at this King Soopers for over 25 years. I think they are the most senior staff people at this particular King Soopers. And every time I go in there and see them doing their thing, it just impresses me so much that they have that opportunity, as opposed to some folks that maybe are sitting at home waiting for something to happen and not having those options and successes in their lives. So.
And I have a similar story too that I was going to share. It's almost the same story. I have a student that was at Rock Canyon High School down in Douglas County when I was a principal, and every time I go by a King Soopers down on Highlands Ranch, I stop in and see if he's working there, and I just love the look on his face when he sees me. It's great to see him. He's probably been working there for close to 10 years, and it's just it's really powerful to see him have the opportunity to be part of the community, and I think he loves that.
Yep.
Very, very powerful.
Yep.
So expand a little bit more about your background. How did you get involved in this area of education?
So I started teaching in 1976. Oh my gosh. And worked in Littleton, as I said, for several years, and then moved to Indiana. My wife was originally from Indianapolis, and we worked at Indiana University, and I coordinated and managed 2 statewide project grants on transition and supported employment. And then in '94, moved back out here to Colorado. I taught at Golden High, and then helped to start the JTS program in 1997. And so I really think that probably my whole career in education has been focused on transition. And for me, it really is the icing on the cake. It's getting to see our students take all of the skills that they've learned in the classroom over the number of years they've spent with us in Jeffco, and really make the best of them in a setting that sometimes maybe isn't as threatening as a classroom, but navigating from place to place, communicating with other people, earning a paycheck, paying taxes. For me, that's what we want for all of our students, and we should not disregard or ignore the possibilities that these students have in their future just because of a significant disability or challenge.
What's the one thing you'd like our listeners to know about Jeffco students who are in the Jeffco Transition Services Program?
You know, they are a wonderful group of young people, and they are diverse, yet they have competencies and capabilities that we as a society shouldn't overlook and really can't afford to overlook, because they bring something to us as humans, as other members of our community that are just so valuable. And while we, I think, rejoice and celebrate the number of our graduates that head on to higher education, I think we also need to recognize and just rejoice, pat ourselves on the back, pat them on the back, and celebrate with their families and friends the fact that they are contributing members of our society, and they bring something to our community and our county that is very important and valuable.
Well, thanks for joining me today, Jim. You have a huge heart, great program, and it's a very special situation for our students in Jefferson County. We appreciate the work you do every single day.
Thanks for having me.
We've come to the end of this episode. If you have a subject or guest idea for the podcast, I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing on either JPS-TV, Jeffco's official YouTube channel, or through iTunes. Thanks to instructor Ron Gordon and audio engineer Hollis Pierman and the rest of the digital audio team here at Warren Tech North. Until next time.
This has been Building Bright Futures, a Jeffco podcast with Jeffco Superintendent Dan McManus. This is a production of Jeffco Public Schools.